It's like people found that there were 24 tracks in a studio and they had to use every single one of them and use special machines to mix them, and this record was mixed with the Oral Exciter.
Producers were getting to be bigger stars than the artists were, because so many things happened where they could make anything sound like anything. You could take anybody on the street right now, put them into a studio, and make them sound good. And that's really the truth.
There's always going to be people trying to find a new digital way to record things quietly or direct to disc. I think Tom's albums have been greatly done because they've been pure and live and incredible. And there's always going to be the people who experiment and take 9 years to produce an album like Tusk, which you can draw your own opinions about, you know. As far as I'm concerned, technology is great for engineers and producers and not very stimulating for artists. You know, an artist function best when you turn on a 2-track machine and say, hey, sing something, pal. And that's art, you know, and they can get into the 80s and way beyond, and they're not going to stop a guy who sounds good on a 1-track machine.
I don't think it's a matter of keeping up to date. I think it's a matter of having an idea of your own as to what's going to be valid and what isn't. Technology has only played a part in our influence by enabling us to do certain things because of the technology that is there, but you have also the creative choice to shun a certain amount of the technology if it's going to enhance the aesthetics of what you're trying to do.
So it's really getting very, very technical. Right. Yeah, and some of the stuff that you record, because the track's got to be so clean, so forth. I remember times we used to record a track and we put the bass on and we go, right, great, you know, don't worry, the strings will cover that mistake.
Right.
I think with everybody it's made the record sound better.
Overall?
Yeah, I think it's made records sound better. I had to remix Maggie and things that were made in 1971 for the Greatest Hits album because they weren't up to par.
Right.
So I think it's the
up to par in what way?
Well, the sound-wise, high fiddly-dee.
Yeah.
The hi-fi wasn't so good.
Right, with the album, when you went in to do it, and Mick Chapman was your producer, did you, I mean, obviously you had the alternatives to sort of dolly it up and make it sort of a big extravaganza if you wanted to. How did you approach the recording?
Just like we do the live show, and that's why one of the reasons we went with Mike, because as a producer, he came right in saying, I want to capture what you do live. Right. You're a great live band, and it would be a shame to go in the studio and think of it any different than we think of it live. We've heard that we're not very popular, nor is Mike in the business, because people are getting hell from their record companies saying, hey, Chapman produces an album for $7,000, $15,000. Why? What do you need $50,000, $150,000 to produce a new group?
I mean, I always say to kids who haven't got that much money and who are trying to do it, main thing is to get all your music together. Because these days, you know, it's so expensive, studio time, that you've just got to go in like 2 days or something and put it all down. Right. So it's got to be simple. You know, the Knack and all that kind of thing. You've got to make it very direct. They can't afford to spend all that time, you know, that everyone else spends.